Hello everybody, I'm here today for another TF2 commentary and for another TF2 comparison, comparing what can be considered the two most newbie guns in the game, the Backburner and the Phlog. The Phlogistinator and the Backburner can be very much argued as different guns, but in my opinion, they're two sides of the same coin. The idea behind them is very similar, that you're supposed to walk forward and light them on fire. Air blasting is a minimum for both. So, as a result, when I was playing this, I kept into account that a lot of new players will be watching this, comparing the two newer, because let's face it, it's a bit like the Sydney Sleeper for pyros, these two guns. Not guns, these two flamethrowers. So taking that into account, I like to acknowledge the fact that pyros are often for newer players. So, I'm going to try in this gameplay, because this is after gameplay, I'm just going to tell you in advance that I kept air blasting to a minimum, because I know that most newer TF2 players, especially pyros, will never touch the air blast. Like, they never see a use for it. So, I only air blast to a minimum with the Backburner, and of course you can't air blast at all with the Phlog, but that, of course, is getting onto it. Now, starting off, the Phlog looks cooler. Like, I know we're not going on looks here, but the Phlog is pretty damn cool looking. It's pretty snazzy. I don't think that means that much in retrospect, but really, it's a small thing. It's a little point to the Phlog. Anyway, stats-wise, the Phlog sounds cooler. That's maybe why people like it so much, because the Phlog, it has a better idea that it fills up an meter. This is the face I was pulling there. It fills up an meter, and basically, whenever you want, you can refill your health and get crits for like 6 seconds, 8 seconds. I'm not 100% sure what the length is, I didn't check it, but really, it's a lot more controlled than the Backburner. Because the Backburner is just, if you're behind them, you get crits. It's just that simple. And I don't know if people like that more or if they like it less, but personally, for the Backburner, I know it's a lot less controlled and the Backburner can be considered a lot less chaotic, but the thing with the Phlog is, honestly, this is a personal thing, this is nothing to do with the actual weapon itself. Personally, I am so distracted by the way the Phlog fires off. Like, the Phlog's flames actually confuses me slightly, because I'm always firing straight at them, and it never lights them on fire. Backburner, however, I know the particles that will hit and what won't, but the Phlog confuses me a bit. It's a bit like a cylinder, or like a sideways tornado, or a Mobius strip, except not infinite, but like imagine like a Mobius strip, but take off the actual bit that makes it infinite and the side bit, and just one long length that gets bigger and bigger. And honestly, I have no idea how the hell which parts cause fire and death and which parts don't. Maybe it's because I'm shit, which is that's perfectly possible too. Anyway, another big advantage for the Backburner, which I think is pretty much a game changer, is the air blasting. Now, I know I already said that I kept air blasting to a minimum in this game purely because I didn't want air blasting to be that big a deal, because let's face it, if you're deciding whether or not to use the Phlog or the Backburner and not use the default, then you probably don't want to air blast that much. You want the advantages without the air blast, because you don't air blast. That's fine. I'm no problem with that. I'm just saying air blast, even when you're not air blasting other projectiles and you're just extinguishing other friends, it's still incredibly useful. Like, there was this heavy in this one occasion in the game where he needed my help. I knew fairly well that he was gonna die despite having a medic on him if I didn't like air blast him right there and then. And if I didn't, he probably would have died. And it's one of those small things that you have to kind of learn what to do as a pyro. But as I already said, I have no respect for people who don't air blast. But even then, I'm still going to take air blasting into account, because, you know, air blasting is a pretty important part for a pyro. But, you know, once again, I don't mind. One thing that could be put firmly into the other side, i.e. the side for the Phlogistinator, is that there's no real delay. Despite my opinion for the Phlog, there is always a delay with the flamethrower. When you press that button, there's like a 3-4 second delay where you're just doing nothing and you're like, oh, this is happening and I'm just here. And like, in that length of time, someone could cause 150 damage with a direct hit or something, and pretty much kill you before you even get a chance. But no reflex is that good, and you probably will get some fire on him. But still, you know, it's still something to take into account. But I don't really find it noticeable, the slight difference in how long it takes a normal flamethrower or a Backburner to actually light someone on fire. Other people might find it more noticeable than me. but I just don't find it that noticeable. I think that the delay means pretty much nothing, because no one's going to notice you in the length of time it actually takes to fire. And especially like if people usually fire before they actually go right up to the person, which is another reason. Now see, as I mentioned, to do with the Phlog's problems, the Man Melter does exist, and in fact it's designed to use in conjunction with the Phlog, so I can't give out too much about how the Phlog works, because the Man Melter does make your job very easy, and it does in fact allow you to extinguish other teammates and give you a crit. So that's pretty nice, but this isn't to do with the Man Melter, it's to do with the Phlog, so I'm taking into account people who don't as well use the Man Melter. Another thing to take into account is actually how intimidating it is to put up a Phlog. Like, when I see a Phlog player, I do run, and I am a bit cautious, because I know that at any moment he could activate his meter, refill his health, and I'd be back to square one, and he could just crit the fuck out of me before I get anywhere near him. And that's always a main problem with Phlog pyros, because it's pretty much the mindset against them. Like, Backburner pyros, often people don't even notice the Backburner and they'll turn around, so they both have advantages to the mindset. Like, people tend to stay off if you're a Phlog pyro, which might be a bit disadvantageous, because, you know, people are staying away from you and you need to get close up, you need to get up close to people. But the whole intimidation usually causes chaos and ends in usually you winning rather than them getting you. And the Phlog is very good for causing chaos and making people scared of your crits, and, you know, making people back off a bit. But in my opinion, what's better is the mindset that's given off Backburners, because Backburners, the explanation I'm going to give is that Backburners look like normal default flamethrowers. You don't know it's Backburner until, you know, this pyro kills you with the Backburner. You don't realize that until he kills you. So the very common reaction for taking on a pyro, and honestly it's a good reaction, it's a very valid reaction to have, is they turn around. Now when they turn around, you get instant crits. So in my opinion, that's what makes the Backburner win this one. It is the complete mindset you go against the Backburner. No one is scared of a flamethrower that much. Of course, they're scared of fire damage and stuff, but not as much as the Phlogistinator. When they run away, they're going to turn around, and when they turn around, you're going to get crits in their back. Now, newer players, of course, will know better, but there's an awful lot of players who will turn around to run away, and you'll have an instant kill on them. And that is why, in my opinion, the Backburner wins. Yeah, it's surprising, but I think the Backburner is a better weapon than the Phlogistinator, and I think if you were picking out one of the two loadouts, I'd go for the Backburner personally, but maybe you like the intimidation caused by the Phlog more. It's really up to your preference. I can't just say, no exceptions, the Backburner is better, but I prefer the Backburner. Anyway, see you next time. If you like what you saw, then I'll see you next time. If you didn't like what you saw, then I won't see you next time. Feel free to like and subscribe. Bye.